Hello everyone and welcome back to the This is the Music Meets Podcast, an independent podcast show that's dedicated to introducing you to rising indie and alternative artists from across the UK and Ireland. If you're new here, please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on the brand new episodes, and don't be shy. Please drop us a comment as I would love to hear from you. Right then, let's get into this week's show. And I'm delighted to be joined by rising and extremely talented singer-songwriter Tom Collins. On today's episode, we're going to chat about Tom's latest single, Scars, supporting Jamie Webster, being mentored by Jamie and Kyle Falconer, his upcoming Wrexham Headliner, and there's also a few Christmas questions into the mix as well. So, Tom, it is a very warm welcome to the This is the Music Meets podcast. How you doing?
Thanks very much, mate. Cheers for having us. Yeah, great, mate. Yeah, bit tired. I've just realised how much of a state I look, to be honest. But it's great to finally have a chat with you. I was going to say in person, but it's not in person. But this is the closest we'll get so far, anyway. But yeah, cheers, mate.
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, just working a bit too hard with the day job, but yeah, in general, loving all the music releases we got last week, and yeah, looking forward again to seeing what's out there this week. But yeah, as you say, it's nice to actually finally meet you a bit virtually. But yeah, been looking forward to this podcast as well. So, for anyone, Tom, that's discovering you for the first time, how would you like describe, who you are and obviously the sound that you're bringing out from North Wales?
Yeah, I hate these kind of questions, to be honest. But I'd say like a lot of my style, as musically, it probably revolves around the likes of like Sam Fender, Jamie Webster, Catfish and the Bottommen as well. With them doing a lot in North Wales in their early days as well. So, I grew up kind of listening to them through my high school days before I even started music. So a lot of them, have influenced my music kind of, I'd say instrumentally and lyrically, really. But yeah, I like talking about real stuff, really. And I just think, if you're going to write a song, write about something that's hopefully going to resonate with someone. And, I'm sure that's the aim with everyone, really. But for me, I think it's important to just talk about, the darker topics and the more important topics that people are a little bit scared to talk about. But that's probably me in a nutshell, really. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I'm not really ashamed of what I've got to say, and I don't really beat around the bush or anything. I'm just kind of honest about what I think in my songs, and I think there's something probably to be said about that, because a lot of the stuff you do hear sometimes it's a little bit samey, and I just think it's important to talk about those topics, really.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, as you say, it is quite important to get that sort of like connection, with people that are listening to the songs. And I think, yeah, definitely with what you've put out so far, which we're going to touch on in a little bit later on, I think you've definitely achieved that. So you said you sort of like got into music then when you was in your, high school sort of age. So was that when you decided to pick up a guitar, or did that come, a little bit later?
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one for me, because like I haven't really got like a musically gifted family, or like I've never even been, the old cliche, oh, my dad gave me this record. I've never even had that as a kid. So it was whatever was in the cabinet. It was the pop cheese cabinet that just had, it was full of Boyzone, it was full of Westlife, Robbie Williams. And my earliest memories were getting the Pop Party CDs when I was a kid. Stuff like Busted and McFly I've grown up on, and I'm not ashamed to admit I love Busted and McFly, like I'm a big fan. Their early stuff really, I like the look of them, I like the idea, but I was quite a shy kid, so I wasn't really interested in music or being in a band. And then when I was 17, I went and watched my mate's covers band just locally, doing just pub cover gigs. I was like, oh, I reckon I could do that, give that a go. Because I've never been like, I was ashamed of like singing at school shows, and I hated karaoke and stuff like that. So I wasn't one for kind of getting up in front of crowds, really, which is mad to think, because now I just absolutely love it. And yeah, that kind of sparked it for me, just watching my mate's band and then thinking, oh, I can have a go at this, because the writing side to it was always there because I used to like write poems and rhymes
Mhm.
and stuff when I was a bit younger, say like primary school age really. So the writing was there. It was just kind of the actual performing and learning an instrument because I didn't do music in school either. So I was 17, so I was in the middle of sixth form when I just decided I wanted a guitar for Christmas, and that was it really.
Wow, wow, right, yeah. Because I mean, heard sort of tend to ask a lot of people that question, and sort of a lot of people say, yeah, we picked it up sort of quite early. So then, obviously, you've mentioned your influences, Sam Fender, Catfish and the Bottlemen, for example. So, and you've said there about your friend's band in terms of you seeing them in a covers band. At what point from when you picked up that guitar did you then think, yeah, do you know what? I want to do this, a little bit more regularly. Obviously, you're mentioning there about your poems and stuff like that. So when from that age of 17 of first picking up a guitar, I'm assuming self-taught, or did you have any lessons? But what, where was the idea then to go, do you know what, I want to go and record music?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a mad one because I was self-taught. I've never had a single guitar lesson to be
Hmm.
honest with you, so I don't know my scales or anything like that. I can guess by ear and that's it. For me, I know my chords and I'm happy with that. So, so I'm not the most like I'm not. I wouldn't count myself as a guitarist really. Do you know what I mean? Which I'm not. I'm not bothered about. I guess like a few months in, so I got it that Christmas when I was 17, and then maybe by the following September, I played my first pub gig, and I was like so nervous, like it was ridiculous. I
Yeah.
had a tiny little amp. I didn't even have a proper PA. It was terrible, but I was so nervous, and it was I was very limited to what I could play and how I could play. I'm as like the more you do, the better you get.
Mm.
That's practice for you. But I had no stage presence whatsoever. But from then, that's when I just started picking up the pub gigs. And then in terms of recording, I did my first release was an EP,
Mhm.
and that was done at uni. So at uni, I studied music production because at that point I'd decided, I want to go and do music. I want to learn a bit more and meet some like-minded people. So I went and did that. And then when I got to my third year, we had to do a dissertation, and I did mine on an EP, and it was revolved around like Greek mythology. So
Right.
each
Oh, wow.
song links to like a Greek myth.
Mhm.
And that was my first release. And I didn't plan to release it really. I just kind of I'd do it, and I had to do it in the space of 8 months. So I had to write, record, and mix 4 songs with my mate who produced my music within that 8 months. And then I thought, you know what, I'll just release it, and that was it. That was the first kind of. So that was 2019,
Mhm.
which feels like a lifetime ago. The glory days, as we call them, should I say? But yeah, it feels like ages ago, and I was like, I was 21 then, so I feel like that was the start of my journey, not 17. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think when you're 17, 18 and you're picking up a guitar, you're learning covers, you're not really writing. I was writing bits, but they weren't very good. Do you know what I mean? I think that is like your stepping stone really. So I kind of count my journey at 21, the start really. So yeah, that was the first kind of step into the Spotify world and
Yeah.
yeah, the dreaded streaming world.
Yeah, definitely. I think yeah, a lot of artists definitely feel your sort of words there, your sentiment about the streaming world. You've obviously just mentioned your first EP, your debut EP, Telling Tales. At the time of recording this podcast, it's closing in on 18,000 Spotify streams. Um, Obviously, you sort of touched on a little bit there with the, how the record was made with a friend from uni. Um, are you sort of looking back on that? Are you sort of still proud of that sort of work? And the streams there that I've mentioned, 18,000. I mean, how do you feel about that in for a first release?
Yeah, so to be honest, the friend I'm talking about, I'm still with him now. I'm still writing with him. It's a friend from the village where I'm from
Right.
in Bagult. So I'm from North Wales, aren't I? He lives down the road, and I met him through my dad, funnily enough. So my dad, he used to spray. He does all sorts of mechanics and that, and he sprayed his guitar. He had like a Fender Jag, and he wanted it sprayed green or white. I can't remember what colour exactly. And to say thank you, he gave me dad, or his granddad gave my dad a CD of his songs. and I kind of threw it at the wall. I wasn't interested, but that was one of the main reasons that got me writing songs, really. So, and that's how I met him, and he was quite famous where we were. He did a lot. He was on tour with Pete Doherty about 10 years ago, maybe a bit earlier than that, actually.
Wow.
10, 20 years ago. He's met like Liam Frey and stuff. He did a little bit with Jerry Cinnamon. This is talking when they were like really small artists. So
Yeah.
he'd been about and he can write songs and stuff. So I work with him still. And that EP, we recorded that in a studio he used to have up the road. It was kind of just like, it was my first kind of songs, really. So it was like we were experimenting in a way. But do you know what? I am still proud of it because I think you shouldn't be ashamed of your roots and where you started. And, obviously, you do listen back and you think, bloody hell, my voice has come on a lot better. But another thing about that is I don't know whether they're still on Spotify, but I'm actually taking them off. And that is again, it sounds like I'm contradicting myself saying I'm proud, but I'm trying to clean up a little bit, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just for kind of future prospects. And I want it to look and sound a bit more professional in terms of my discography, because there's a few tunes on there that will probably be going, which some people might be upset about. But in terms of like the mixes and how they sound, I'm not entirely happy. I just think a clean slate, and if I can just make it sound and look a little bit more professional, yeah, that's another conversation. But yeah, I am proud. I am proud. I just think that's your roots, isn't it? That's where I started. Yeah, extremely proud.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's a fantastic EP. I really, really do, and I think I agree. You should be proud of it. As I say, it's a fantastic EP. But the other side to that, I totally understand as well where you're coming from, because I've heard a lot of artists say similar to what you were just saying there about you feel that the recording, if you were to re-release it, type of thing, that you could maybe do it a little bit better, because obviously, since then, which we're going to come on to now, you've obviously released 10 more singles since then. Obviously, you've learned and you've grown a lot more as an artist. So I can totally understand where you're coming from on that. And as I say, since then you've released 10 singles, including fan favourite Off Lad, which you can see here, no, the other side, and Plaster as well. When you sort of like look back on those two songs in particular, what do you hear? Sort of like growth in you as an artist, maybe a little bit of nostalgia, or something else altogether?
Yeah, I think it's weird because I think your songs represent your journey, don't they? And
Hmm.
like Plaster, it's a very kind of boy meets girl relationship kind of song. So at the time, I was miffed off with girls and stuff like that. So that's where that comes from. And now I'm in quite a happy, stable relationship. Do you know what I mean? So I don't write about those things anymore. And that's just the evolution of an artist, I guess. And
Mm.
I'm just talking about more socially aware things, I guess. And Soft Lad's similar in that sense, because I remember writing Soft Lad in probably within an hour. My mate, I was with my mate at uni in my bedroom, and he left me some chords. He had to go somewhere just on a sheet of paper. So I was messing about with them, changed the key, and the next thing, Soft Lad came out. And if I remember right, it was all about kind of being a bit miserable, like "What's up, Soft Lad," and that was kind of me, a message to myself. But some of the lyrics, you'll hear that it's just kind of an honest reflection of who I am, and I'm not bothered what people think. That's just I'd rather just be honest about it. And but yeah, those songs they mean a lot to me. To be fair, it always surprises me how much people love Soft Lab, because it's such a simple tune, and it's a bit of a daft song, really. Like it's nothing amazing, but I'm sure we'll get onto it in a bit. But from touring with Jamie Webster, I got like hundreds of people to sing it back to me who'd never heard of me before, which was like absolutely amazing. And for people to latch on to things like that, it means a lot for people to resonate with those songs. Plaster's another one, the pop tunes, and I'm not ashamed to admit that.
Mm.
I think people dance around the word pop sometimes because the chart's so oversaturated with
Mm.
pop. But whether they like it or not, most indie bands are pop songs. There's an element of pop in a
Yeah.
chorus or a hook. Maybe not all indie bands, but what I'm trying to say is, I don't think it's it's down one kind of tunnel. It's everywhere. Do you know what I mean? And them, like, I go back to my roots. I loved Busted and McFly. They've got hooky pop choruses.
Mhm.
Catfish have got the same. That's kind of where it all spirals off from. But yeah, them two songs in particular, and people seem to enjoy them. Like I say, Plaster's more of like a mid-set song now. We still play it as the band as well. But yeah, again, it's just lovely to hear people singing it back to us.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. And you just mentioned Jamie Webster. We're going to come on to him now because you obviously just been on tour with him. But first of all, we're going to focus on the London date at Bush Hall in Shepherd's Bush, which is obviously your first London show. And I know that you've done a little vlog of the whole thing, which is up on YouTube for those that want to watch it. We'll put the link in the episode bio as well. It's brilliant. Really, really do go and check it out if you haven't already. So, how then was that experience of stepping out onto a London stage for the very first time?
Do you know what? For the first time in a long time, I felt quite nervous. Within, I think I was due on about 7:30, and about 7 o'clock, all of a sudden these nerves just hit me, which is a good thing, because I think if you're nervous, you obviously care about it and you want to do well. And I think because it was a sold out gig, I was just a bit like, this is mad. Like, I'm going to be playing to hundreds of new faces who've never heard of me. So I've got to do good here. Do you know what I mean? I've got to do
Yeah, yeah.
well. So it was amazing. I think the London one stands out for me because I've never played in London before, and it's the capital city. It's a prominent city for music. There's so many huge artists that come out of London. So for me to go down there and kind of knock them dead, if you like, it was great. And it was also nice at the end. So I brought my merch with me, and we had a merch stand at the back of the venue. And there's so many people just coming up to us and wanting a photo and just tell me how buzzing they were to watch us, and that just means the world. Just random people. So it was a bit weird, really. It felt like I was in Jamie's world for a second, but then back to reality the next day. I'm back in work. So, but yeah, London was great, and the team that were down there, they really looked after us, and yeah, massively grateful for Jamie for getting me on that as well.
Yeah, yeah, and you obviously also as well supported Jamie as well in Manchester and Edinburgh on this most recent tour. Um, what have you learned from watching someone like Jamie Webster? Because obviously his interactions with the crowd are obviously fantastic and been very well documented, and obviously his tunes are brilliant as well. So, what have you learned from watching him?
I think a few things he did say to me was like, obviously, when you're writing songs, a big part of it is getting the crowd involved, and I've kind of took that on board now because I think Soft Lab's probably quite a good example of
Mhm,
that. And that I didn't even try to write that song the way I did, if that makes sense. So
mhm,
I think the way he does write his songs, and he's obviously there for the people, and how humble he comes across as well on stage, because he's just like you and me, really, and he's so grateful for where he is, and that is just, for me, that's like a perfect role model. But yeah, the way he gets the crowd involved is fantastic, and he's just great to watch. He's got a great voice, great tunes, and he's such a lovely fella. Yeah, I couldn't ask for more, really, on supporting him. And Manchester was cool as well because again it was sold out, but because the room was so different, the crowd was a bit closer to the stage, so it was a little bit more intimate, I
mhm.
suppose. And I could see everyone's faces, whereas in London it was quite dark, so it was a little bit more relaxed when I got on there. But yeah, it was amazing, and Jamie's just a legend of the game, really. I saw him in Sefton Park last year. Never did I think I'd be supporting him the following year. So yeah, he was great. He's just a man of the people.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's one of the things sometimes that just to pick up on what you said there, that he's just like you or I. He's just a normal bloke type. Making it sound like I've met him and I'm good mates with him. I've never, but yeah, I think sometimes that gets maybe people forget that sometimes that they are, yes, clearly incredibly talented, but
Excuse me.
ultimately they are, approachable and everything else. And as you just mentioned, they're clearly willing to give advice and to try and help, other artists because clearly he remembers what it was like to try and get to the, breakthrough to the level that he's at now.
Yeah, that's it. He's a top fella, and he just, like I said, he's so humble about it. Like the way he spoke to me was just like just a normal guy. Do you know what I mean? He's
Mm.
just really, really sound fella. He just wants to help people as well. So yeah, top man, top man.
Brilliant. And let's talk then as well about Kyle Falconer from The View, because you obviously worked with him and Jamie at some songwriting camps over in Spain. So, what was the environment like there? Sun, guitars, creativity. I mean, to me, that sounds brilliant. Yeah, what was it like from your perspective?
Do you know what? It sounds cliche, but it's one of those places that you kind of have to be there to understand what it was like, because the location of it, it's in like a small like rural Spanish village, and it it basically forces you to do nothing but music because there's
Hmm.
nothing about. Um, and yeah, I think so. I've done three now, and the first two were great, but then in the last 2 years, it's ramped up completely. Like the guest writers have gone bigger, and just the overall like kind of structure of things has gone better as well. But I know the guy who runs it with Kyle. I know through Kyle, who I was talking about before,
Yeah,
who produced my music. So he used to put on gigs for Kyle back in the day up in Scotland. And then they decided to open this camp, and Cal was like, "Do you want to come along?" I was like, "All right then." I was totally nervous the first time I went because I was like, "I don't know what to expect." You know, you kind of doubt yourself weirdly, even though you know what you're doing is fine. It's just like you don't. I get a little bit like compare myself to other people sometimes. I get a bit
mm,
of imposter syndrome, and which you might not see, but you know, I think everyone does, don't they? But the last camp we went to, obviously, Jamie was host. You know, he was the guest writer, and I wasn't actually going to go because you know I was thinking about like time off work and stuff like that, and I was a bit nervous about apprehensive about going back. And then my girlfriend and one of my mates was like, "You need to go. You need to go. Like it's Jamie Webster. Like there's no one who's going to be more suited to your music than Jamie Webster." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right." And then little did I know the opportunities that have come off it. You know, supporting Jamie, writing a song with him, and obviously there's more to come next year, hopefully. But it was just surreal, really, and I think the group of lads we had on the camp as well. You know, obviously you can imagine a lot of them were Scousers, but the top bunch of lads, and for me it was just a nice balanced morale there. I think you know everyone kind of fed off each other, but also, and you know, we'd be around the campfire at night, and he'd be like, "Right, go on, you play a tune now, you play a tune," and I'd always be looking to play another original tune just to show people, and just a great atmosphere, great environment to be in. And like I say, you're just forced to write tunes. And when I was there, I was just constantly reeling them off, which is great. Which I don't do enough really because I work full time, and when I'm at home, I don't have a lot. You know, you're balancing your social life. I'm doing my social media for music, all sorts. You know, you need downtime, don't you? But I've dedicated a Monday now, every Monday evening. Me and Cal, we sit in my. I've got like a makeshift studio. It's not a studio, but it's like a room in my
yeah.
garage. We go in there and we sit there for an hour, and we say, right, what have we got? Or we work on something that we did last week. So I just think it's quite a healthy thing to do. It gets me on track because the more you know, I want to be writing more. And to be honest, I'm writing much more than I've ever wrote in my life, really, because that is something I slack with, and I'm very hard on myself with. If I write a song and I'm not happy with it, I just bin it or just leave it on my phone for years. But yeah, it's been great. And last year at Castle was just like a bit of a door opener for me, really, and for a lot of people. You know, it's not just writing the songs and kind of gaining that experience. It's also networking with other people, like meeting Kyle as well. I was lucky enough to support him a couple of years back and support the band as well in Wrexham, which is cool. The View,
Hmm.
but he's got some voice he has. Honest to
Yeah.
God, it's just like it's ridiculous. So that
Mm.
was, you know, again another experience in itself. Just really grateful for all the opportunities, but I just think for any young musicians out there, they need to be getting out to places like this, surrounding yourself with like-minded people, because I've been in situations where you know there's a group of people who just think they're too good for each other, and that's not how it should be. You should
Mm.
be working together. Oh, it was great to we had like a pub gig night as well before Jamie left, and we all got to get up and perform a song, and he was just buzzing with the stuff. I played Halfway Boys, just acoustic. I was like, I've got to play this one. Like I showed him Little Louie because that was coming out the following month at the time,
Mhm.
and he loved that, and I thought I've got to show him this one. So it's just great vibes, and then he got up and did a couple himself. But yeah, cool.
Yeah, brilliant. It certainly sounds like you've had a brilliant time over there, or each time that you've been, and yeah, sounds like a great experience. Obviously, Tom, your new single "Scars" came out just a couple of weeks ago, and it is a really powerful one. Sort of exploring, toxic relationships, sort of cycles of a bit of abuse, and the strength it sort of takes to break them. What was the spark that made you want to write sort of such a song?
I just see so many people in really tough situations. Like I've personally, I've personally never experienced it. And what I want people to understand that, like a lot of my songs, people do ask me, like, is this you experiencing? And it's not most of the time. It's kind of my perspectives on
Hmm.
things. Care in the World was an example, and people said, "Oh, was that on you?" I said, "No, no, it's just what I've seen, kind of thing." In my day job, I work with kids in my day job, so um, yeah. But anyway, but Scars, it's kind of just talking about the taboo, I suppose. It kind of sparked from like I've heard people, and I've got mates that have been in like dodgy relationships where it's just not healthy, and I just think there's an important message to be said, really, that you can talk about it, and
Hmm.
there is help out there for you, because it gets to a point with some people where it becomes the norm in these relationships, and it's just not. People deserve better, don't they? And and a lot of it does stem from generations, or how the parents have treated them, or what they've seen. And I think we live in a world now where misogyny and kind of like this, the influences that we've got on TikTok and stuff like that, it's ridiculous. The kids have got access to, and it's just sad to see, really. I think
Mm.
so. I'm hoping Scars can help someone who's struggling in that relationship, or whatever it is, or situation. But at the same time, it's a song it's quite upbeat. It's quite
Mm.
when I wrote it, it was like, oh, it sounds quite 50s-y, like doo
Mm.
woppy. So there's a contrast with that. Obviously, like the lyrics are it's got quite a dark context, and then the chords and the music's quite like, you can kind of bop to it. It's catchy, but I think, yeah, the message for me is just to, you know, talk.
Mm.
If you are struggling in those relationships, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think yeah, and sort of just taking that on a little step further, men definitely should talk a little bit more. You know what we're like, sort of bottling things up and stuff. But just something there you were talking about. You're hoping that it helps someone. Has anyone sort of got in touch with you to say that it's resonated with them at all, or is that not quite happened yet?
Not personally, no. I mean, I've had comments because I started putting out a few reels of me kind of just talking about the song. I don't know if you've seen any.
Hmm.
And then it cuts to the music video, which shout out to Eclectics. They filmed that for me. A little team at Eclectics are fucking great lads.
Hmm.
And I've had a few comments of people just kind of saying, this is so true. So I don't know whether if they've seen it or experienced it, but that's the whole point. It's music's a community, isn't it? Music should be a safe space to talk about this stuff, and I think
Mm.
it's an effective way to talk about this stuff, because if you're not comfortable sitting there, in a counselling session, or I don't know, to one of your best mates, because let's be honest, like you say, us men, we're not. Sometimes we want to bottle it up. We don't want to just sit there and go, "I'm struggling,"
Hmm.
or same with girls as well. So for me, like, yeah, I think if people are commenting on it, then hopefully is resonating, really.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, we were just talking about before about the songwriting camp over in Spain, and obviously, you've been sort of learning and sort of collaborating, obviously with Jamie Webster and obviously Kyle Falconer as we discussed. Do you, as I guess it's maybe what a bit difficult one, but do you as an artist prefer like writing like songs on your own, or do you prefer that sort of collaboration sort of process? And I guess it is probably a bit of a silly question. I mean, it's probably quite obvious, really. how does the process differ from being on your own to collaborating with someone?
First of all, yeah, I don't know how to answer that really because like I think every time I've wrote a song, it's been different, and a lot of the time I work with my mate Kyle a lot, and we're on a level where we just kind of just bounce off each other, which just works. If we'll have one sentence and then he'll have the next lyric, and then it'll just go, oh, we'll go like this, and we'll start building this story, this narrative. So that works really nicely. So I do like working with other people, but at the same time, I'm quite happy doing it by myself. But I think there's a broader opportunity working with other people because you don't know, they might write songs in a different method. A lot of the time, historically, I've just played chords on a guitar and then I'll come up with something. But recently, which is a bit mad, I've just been writing lyrics down or humming a melody, walking the dog or driving, and sometimes that just sparks something else. So it's been a bit weird how I've just done it differently. But yeah, working with Kyle was really cool as well because it was a bit mad because we were writing leaders. I think I'd wrote half a leaders at home, and that was actually inspired by do you know Pound Shop Kardashians by Sam Fender?
Yes, so there, yeah,
It's an
yeah.
early one. He doesn't play it anymore, but that tune I was playing about with that and the lyrics and everything. I was like, oh, so that kind of sparked leaders for me, and kind of just the state of the world. Obviously politics not my forte at all, but there's just idiots everywhere, isn't there?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and we carried it on at the camp in the songwriting camp, and then that night Kyle just walked into the room and said, "No, it needs something like this, man. It needs something like this." And he's got a song called Grace, and it goes. There's like a shouty bit that goes sometimes. And in between the verse and the chorus, he was like, "I'm shouting." He had headphones on, sat down. He goes, "I'm shouting, can you hear me?" And that was it. Like that was like the little bridge to the chorus, the little hook. And we
Yeah.
were just like, that's it, that just works. And little things like that I never would have thought of doing. That's just a good example of working with someone else. And the whole middle eight, he helped me write as well, because the middle eight, it takes it completely to a different place, which
Mhm.
I never would have thought of doing. So, yeah, it just expands your knowledge a bit more, and it opens up your world to doing different chords and different melodies. Yeah, it's just a good experience, I think. And then with Jamie, it was a similar kind of process. I was bouncing off him with a verse I had, and obviously we talk about similar topics really, so it worked quite nicely. And then we come out with a tune, which is great, and hopefully that'll be recorded in the near future.
Brilliant. Sounds really exciting. Obviously, we touched on earlier about you supporting Jamie, but you obviously are going to be doing your own headliner as well in a couple of weeks' time. It's a Christmas gig at the parish in Wrexham on the 21st of December. Ticket link is in the episode bio. So maybe Tom, for people that haven't come to see you before, and maybe are coming to see you for the first time, what can they expect from your show?
A whole lot of fun, I'm telling you. Absolute stardom. No, I'm joking. No, do you know what? I think you will have fun. Like, I think what I like about playing live as well, I've got quite a diverse range of songs. So, I've got songs that the old stuff is very much more kind of love song, poppy, relationship type. And then I've got the social commentary stuff as well, which breaks it up, different paces and stuff. So we're going to throw in a Christmas tune as well at the parish. I think there's only about 10 tickets left now. So
Be
we're
quick.
hoping to just sell it out for Christmas, and that'd be good. I think it's just a nice way to round off the year, really. And I love playing with the band. The band thing's only been going for, well, it hasn't been going for 2 years yet. But the four lads, the three lads I'm with now, we've only been playing together since June. So it's just been difficult getting that balance, really. And as a solo artist, I've got to expect people to be invested in what I'm doing. So it is hard. But what's been nice is the last two singles, the guys have actually played on them, because I wanted them to be a part of it. I wanted them
Mhm.
to be part of Tom Collins and what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to do. So to have their footprint on it, it's nice. And Scars was it's real sounding, because we had real drums on it for the first time in ages. I can't remember last time I did real drums, just because of the complication of things. So for me, it was just nice to have them on it. And yeah, playing live one's brilliant. I love it. I get such a buzz off it. And the Parish is a venue I've played many times. I supported the Sherlocks there a couple of years ago.
Mm.
So it's nice to finally get to the stage where I can do my own headline and fingers crossed sell it out. But it'd just be a nice way to round off the year. So if you fancy it, go and head to the ticket link. It's going to be a top night.
Brilliant. Sounds great. And as I say, that link's going to be in that episode bio, and only 10 tickets left as well. So if you fancy it, well, potentially the penultimate drink up, I guess, as well before Christmas. So what more could you ask for? Tom, so on every This Is The Music Meets podcast, we ask our guests a series of questions that are sort of designed to be a little bit more light-hearted, and help the listeners find out a little bit more about the artists that we are chatting to. So the first question is, what was the first album that you ever bought?
Toughy that. I'm gonna go the first one. I'm just gonna go with the first one that's come to my head. It was the Marshall Mathers LP by Eminem.
Nice.
I'm a huge Eminem fan. You probably, which is weird because obviously my music's
Mhm.
it's indie rock kind of pop vibes, but Eminem, massive influence of mine. Yeah, I'll go with that one. Great
Yeah.
album as well.
No, definitely. I think, everyone, diversifies at some point, and, why not go with a massive artist, right? Um, Obviously you've supported a few different people. Obviously we mentioned the Sherlocks, you've mentioned Jamie Webster as well. But is there any other band or maybe a solo artist that you'd love to support?
Royston Club
Oh, nice.
said it.
Yeah.
I'm doing a bit of a campaign at the moment, so I haven't done mine today actually. That's just reminded me. I'm
I
playing
have
their
some
tunes.
uses.
Yeah, I'm playing one of their tunes every day until they kind of interact and maybe want to let me support them next year. It's a big
Mhm.
dream, but the local lads, they're Wrexham lads. They're smashing it at the minute,
Mm.
and I love the tunes. They're brilliant. So I've seen them live a few times as well. So that'd be cool. But yeah, if I'm dreaming really big, Sam Fender's up there, like obviously. But yeah,
Yeah, and you're dropping those because obviously you've got a broad should say as well that you've got a broadcast channel, haven't you, over on Instagram? Are you dropping those? I know I'm part of it. It's difficult sometimes to keep up with everything, but are you dropping those videos that you're doing in that broadcast channel?
I definitely was, but I don't think I have been doing. It's hard again. I find it hard to keep up on because I've got it, and I'm like, what do I post in it? This is the thing. Social media.
A
It's another job in
minefield.
itself, isn't it? So
Yeah, definitely. But you are putting on your Christmas songs as well on the day two. Are we on? Yeah, it must be.
yeah,
We're
day
recording this
two.
on the 2nd December.
Do me top 25 Christmas tunes. So you can have a listen and disagree with me because there'll be a few people. When I got to the top 10, I'll be annoying some people 100%. So
Brilliant. Look forward to those coming out. Tom, obviously, I know that you are a Liverpool fan. Bit of a mixed start to the season, and I'm trying to be
oh,
as diplomatic as possible there with that. Yeah, mixed start. What's your sort of reflections on it so far?
frustration, a load of frustration. For me, like I seen us when we had Roy Hodgson in 2011, and that was dire straits. But I just think the money for me, it's the money element. Like
Mm,
we've spent so much money, and the squad's just not balanced at the moment. I think it's going to take another season maybe just to get it right. But the very attacking minded players that he's brought in, I don't think he's got an entire clue of what his best 11 is or how to play
mm,
them. But we'll have to see. We've got a big game against Sunderland tomorrow, so fingers crossed, 3 points. But the title's out the equation, like.
mm.
But this is what happens, isn't it? It comes and goes in waves, football, and it's an emotional roller coaster. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it seems. I mean, I don't disagree with you when you say that you think the title's gone, but it seems mad after what we had. We've had 11, 12 games to be saying that already at this stage of the season.
Yeah, I think it's about 13
Oh,
now. Yeah, but
13,
it's
right?
not
Yeah.
much at all. I think we've won 7 and lost 6, which doesn't seem bad, but we haven't drawn any games either. And I think the losses we've had is like, Forest at home. No disrespect to Nottingham
Mm,
Forest, but we should be putting him away at home, and we lost 3-0. So, and then he doesn't make any changes for the PSV game. So anyway, I'm getting down a tangent. I could talk all day about it, but there you go, Liverpool for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, at least Isak got his first goal on Sunday against my
Oh, you West Ham?
Yeah, I am.
Oh,
yeah.
I feel a bit better now.
And,
that's unfortunate.
It's worked out pretty nicely actually. Yeah, you certainly bossed us. I didn't think you really got out of second or even third gear for most of the game.
Do you know what? West Ham surprised me because they've got a good set of players. I don't understand why they're so bad. I don't get it. No offense. You know what I mean? You've got like Jared Bowen, Paqueta. I mean, Paqueta's a bit of a baby, isn't he, dude? But anyway.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I think that's a whole nother podcast, I think. To go down
football.
Absolutely. Yeah, maybe one day we'll get the spin-off of that. That'd be quite a good one. But if you was ever to be given the opportunity to walk out at Anfield and perform one of your songs before kickoff, what track would you choose and why would you go for it?
It's got to be Soft Lad.
Nice.
It's a northern saying, Soft Lad, and
Right.
a lot of it does come from Liverpool, I think. Have you seen the Royal Family? You've seen the Royal Family, haven't you?
Yeah.
Obviously, Jim Royal says it like bloody hell, Soft Lad, and all that. So I think they'd relate to it, and you know, if people in London can relate to it, then you know, I'd like to think Anfield would be the same. That'd be an absolute dream, by the way. Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah, fingers crossed, because I've seen plenty of other grounds that do a similar thing actually to that. So yeah, fingers crossed for you. Obviously, we did just touch on it a little while ago about the broadcast channel and the Christmas songs, obviously that you're doing. You're probably not going to tell me, to be fair, because you're probably going to keep this one in for the channel, and rightly so. But what is your favourite Christmas song of all time? I'll see if I can maybe tease it, get a hint of what might be coming up.
To be honest, I change my mind every year, but I'll give you an idea of which ones I do like, so we're not giving it away.
Fair enough, yeah.
To be honest, it's just a content filler at the end of the day, and I think why not get in the festive spirit? But as a kid, I've always enjoyed the Band-Aid, the original Band-Aid tune. Yeah. I love that tune. I just remember it as a kid, and there's a lot of nostalgia, isn't there, with Christmas songs, I guess. Mm-hmm. But some of the underrated ones, I'd say 2,000 Miles by the Pretenders, Power of Love, even if you call that a Christmas song. It was, I think it was a Christmas #1, wasn't it? By Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Yeah. And I absolutely love Baseman Came Travelling by Chris de Burgh.
Oh, I love that, yeah. I love that one, yeah.
Even though they're not like heavily Christmas.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So that you might see them in my top 3 or 5. But yeah.
Well, the only way to find out is to give you a follow on the socials and get into that broadcast channel, obviously, as we mentioned before. What's the most chaotic thing that's ever happened to you, either at like a Christmas gig or maybe like a Christmas party? Any wild stories?
Does it have to be Christmas?
No, it doesn't have to be Christmas if you don't want it to be, no.
When you said chaotic, I mean, when I say chaotic now, I'm going to make myself sound like I'm naughty or something, but I'm not. I'm the least rock and roll star you'll ever meet, Mark. Honest to God. So I went on holiday. When was it? In June. We went to Tenerife, and we'd got through security, ready to go home, had some food, lost my passport.
No.
Can you imagine the sheer panic? I mean, it's not really chaotic. It's more panic, like life or death. But it was horrible. I honest to God, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I would not wish it on my worst enemy. But I was trying. I know a little bit of Spanish, so I was going back and I had to try and speak to people and try and figure out where it was. Went through lost property, wasn't there, and it turns out I left it on the bus. So the coach company that took us from the hotel, and luckily, the fella from the bus company handed it in to the company desk, and it was in this bag, because it was the bag I left, like a little pocket bag.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was horrific. But that was the first thing that popped into my head there when you asked me that question. But I suppose you were expecting like a rock and roll, like Tom jumped off a building or like crashed a car into a pool. Not
Well,
quite the
thankfully you
Gallagher
haven't done the
brothers.
latter.
Yeah,
Wow, yeah, that is a bit of luck. Something similar happened to me once, not with a passport. I was out in Australia, and just don't know why I did this, but I had my wallet in my short pocket, sat on a bus, getting the wait, taking me back to the bus station, and then I could get the train to where I was staying, and walked away from the bus station, went to put my hand in my pocket to get my train ticket out, no wallet. And I was like, I definitely had it because I had to get on the bus. So I've had to peg it back. I say peg it, run back after the bus who was going off on his next, wherever he was going off to next. And luckily, I managed to stop him and go, hang on a minute, mate. I think I've left my wallet on there, and he hadn't even checked. So I
Jesus.
got lucky because that could have been, yeah, that would have been me. I thought it was only about a week into the like me holiday as well. So yeah, that would have been a disaster for the rest of it, not having any access to any money whatsoever.
Do you know what? It's a horrible feeling. Like, I mean, it's not very. A lot of people have probably went through it, so it's not very unique.
Yeah,
But there you go.
you'd hope it
Passport
don't happen
lost.
to you.
No.
And just with the last question on the Christmas sort of theme, Christmas dinner. What's the one food that must be on your plate, apart from probably turkey? I'm guessing.
Yeah, I feel like it's a boring answer. I'm going to say pigs and blankets. I feel like
Oh,
everyone says that,
classic, classic.
but it's just class, isn't it? You don't have it. I mean, I don't personally have it
No,
any other time of year,
no.
so it's a nice little treat. Like, in fact, no, stuffing as well. I love stuffing,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
which I
yeah.
don't. Yeah, so yeah, we'll chuck them too.
There we go.
Not very
Lovely.
exotic, but yeah, there you go.
And sort of looking ahead to 2026, Tom, what's kind of like the big goal? You know, are we looking at more new music? You sort of touched on that a little bit. Maybe a headline tour, possibly, or another trip to Spain. What's 2026 looking like for you, sort of at this sort of stage? I don't know how far in advance artists sort of make plans.
Yeah, I mean, my main goal is to do a headline tour, and I'm talking like short, maybe 3 or 4 dates. I understand I'm not really at a level where I can do kind of big tours or afford it really. But yeah, to do that would be amazing, even if it was support for some of
Hmm.
them. So that's my main goal. Definitely new music. I've got tons of songs in the bank that I can't wait to show everyone, and I just feel like the levels above the ones that I've already released. So it's going to be exciting to kind of see like a new era of songs really, and yeah, hopefully more opportunities. With supporting other artists and a couple of festivals. Fingers crossed. But we'll have to wait and see. It's definitely going to be bigger and better. That's all I can tell you so far.
Brilliant, great stuff. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what those plans are going to be looking like, and fingers crossed that they all those stuff that you've mentioned do come off for you. But Tom, unfortunately, that is the end of the podcast. Thank you very much for joining me for episode 159 of the This Is the Music Meets podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. I've really enjoyed finding out a little bit more about you and your music and how you go about it. But before I do let you go, can you just let the This Is the Music listeners know the social media platforms that they can find you on?
Yeah, thanks very much for having us, mate. So you can find me on all social media platforms at TL Collins Music.
Brilliant, great stuff. Not nice and simple. That's exactly what I like personally. Look, we'll put that link to all of that in the episode bio. Obviously, and we mentioned as well the vlog to your YouTube channel as well about your London experience for the first time, and obviously that gig that you've got coming up at the parish on the 21st of December. And as we've said, there's about 10 tickets left for that, so don't delay. Be quick, go and get your ticket for that. Tom, as I say, thanks very much for coming on the This Is the Music Meets podcast. It's been brilliant having you on. Wish you every success with everything that's going up. I personally think that you are a great artist. Really look forward to one of your releases when you pop it over. And yeah, keep doing what you're doing because you're brilliant as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you very much, mate. I really appreciate the kind words, and hopefully I can come do a gig down by you at some point, and we'll actually see each other in person and have a pint or whatever. But yeah, thanks very much for having us on, mate. Really appreciate it.
And all that leaves me to say is to thank everyone for watching the latest This Is The Music Meets podcast. Please subscribe so you never miss out on any brand new episodes. And if you're loving the podcast, I would love to hear from you. So do please leave a comment, as it will help us beat the algorithms, but more importantly, help the artists that we interview to be discovered. If you're listening to this episode on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, then stay tuned, because at the end of this episode, you'll be able to hear Scars, the brand new single from Tom Collins, which is out now on all streaming and download platforms. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you very, very soon for another This Is The Music Meets podcast. And remember, the future is bright, the future is indie.